What if I told you that Chappie might be one of the most misunderstood sci-fi movies of the last decade? Yeah, the same Chappie that critics absolutely roasted and most people forgot about. But here's the thing. What if all those so-called flaws actually made Chappie something special? What if the movie we all dismissed was hiding something deeper? Maybe it was never meant to be perfect. Maybe it was meant to challenge us, to make us uncomfortable. Stick around, because I'm going to show you why Chappie didn't just deserve better. It might actually deserve a second chance. So, for anyone who doesn't remember, or maybe never bothered to watch it, Chappie is a 2015 sci-fi film directed by Neil Blomkamp, the same guy behind District 9 and Elysium. On paper, Chappie should have been a hit. It's got robots, action, explosions, and some pretty heavy questions about life, consciousness, and what it really means to be alive. Sounds awesome, right? But here's the thing. It flopped. Hard. Critics absolutely destroyed it. Chappie sits at a brutal 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the box office didn't save it either. It barely made back its budget, and most people walked away thinking it was weird, messy, and kind of embarrassing. It got written off almost immediately. But let's slow down. Was it really that bad? Or did people just not get it? Here's where it gets interesting. Chappie wasn't trying to be your typical shiny blockbuster. It wasn't going for Marvel-level polish or trying to please everybody. It was chaotic, raw, and honestly a little uncomfortable. And maybe that's exactly why it didn't click with the mainstream. Some movies are built to be clean. Chappie was built to be rough. One of the biggest things people couldn't get past was the casting of Ninja and Yolandi from the band Die Antwoord. They didn't just star in the movie. They played these loud, wild versions of themselves. And yeah, their performances were super weird. But here's the question. Were they bad actors? Or did they just bring something totally different to the table? Stick with me, because the more we break this movie down, the more you're going to see that Chappie didn't just deserve better reviews. It deserved a whole different conversation. All right, let's talk about the hate train that hit Chappie back in 2015. Honestly, it wasn't just critics. A lot of regular viewers piled on too. People called it cringe, messy, even annoying. And yeah, I get it. On the surface, it's kind of a bizarre movie. You've got a robot who acts like a rebellious teenager. You've got Die Antwoord literally playing gangster versions of themselves. And it swings wildly from brutal action scenes to weirdly heartfelt moments. But here's where things went sideways. Expectations. Neil Blomkamp had just dropped District 9 and Elysium before this, right? So people expected gritty, grounded sci-fi with deep political commentary, movies with serious faces and serious themes. They thought Chappie was going to be another socially conscious, high-concept film that felt important. Instead, they got a robot that says heist in a squeaky baby voice, paints graffiti, and rocks gold chains. People couldn't reconcile it. Critics said it was tonally all over the place. And yeah, it is, but that's not necessarily a flaw. It's deliberately chaotic. One minute it's making you laugh as Chappie learns to talk like a gangster, and the next minute it slaps you with a brutal scene about mortality, betrayal, and free will. Plus, Die Antwoord's casting, that triggered a lot of backlash. Most viewers didn't know them outside of their edgy, controversial music videos. To some, they felt like bad actors dropped into a serious movie. But here's the twist. They weren't supposed to be Hollywood polished. Their weird, unsettling presence fits the film's chaotic, surreal world almost too perfectly. And honestly, a lot of the hate also came from mismarketing. The trailers made it look like a typical robot uprising action movie, like RoboCop meets Short Circuit. But that's not what Chappie is at all. It's way more personal, weirder, and focused on questions of consciousness, parenting, and the meaning of identity. People went in expecting Terminator, but they got something closer to a bizarre, sci-fi fairy tale. And here's the kicker. There's actually a very specific reason the movie feels this unhinged, and trust me, once you know it, you'll never look at it the same way again. All right, now, here's where it gets good, because despite everything, there's actually a lot that Chappie does right. And honestly, it's stuff most people completely overlooked. Let's start with the heart of the film, Chappie himself. Chappie isn't just another robot character like RoboCop or the Terminator. He's not some cold, programmed machine. He's a child. Literally. His AI starts as a blank slate, like a newborn baby, learning everything from scratch. And that's what makes his story so weirdly emotional. Watching Chappie grow is honestly fascinating and kind of heartbreaking. He starts off scared and confused, trying to understand this violent, unpredictable world around him. And the people who raise him, yeah, they're criminals. But they also love him in their own twisted way. There's this bizarre family dynamic going on between Chappie, Ninja, and Yolandi that you just don't see in any other sci-fi movie. And that's where the film gets really interesting. It's not about a robot uprising or saving the world. It's about parenting, identity, and how our environment shapes who we become. It's basically a messed up coming-of-age story, but with guns, gangsters, and robots. Plus, let's be honest, there's something undeniably charming about Chappie's innocence. The way he picks up slang, the way he proudly shows off his crude graffiti, or when he gets excited about learning how to be cool. It's funny, but also super endearing. He just wants to belong. Visually, the movie also crushes it. Neil Blomkamp's style is all over this thing. Gritty, industrial settings mixed with stunning CGI. And honestly, the effects on Chappie are insane. He looks completely real, like he's actually there in every scene. The way he moves, the expressions, even his subtle body language, it's all motion capture, and it's some of the best I've seen. Huge shout out to Charlton Copley, who did the motion capture and voice for Chappie. He absolutely crushed it. Then there's the deeper stuff. People forget that Chappie is asking some heavy questions. What does it mean to be alive? Can a machine have a soul? Are we just products of our programming and surroundings? These aren't new ideas in sci-fi, sure, but the way Chappie approaches them feels raw and emotional instead of cold and distant, like a lot of other philosophical sci-fi films. In fact, a lot of people don't realize that the film is essentially about death, about facing it, fearing it, and trying to cheat it. By the end, it's no longer just about a robot learning to be human. It's about transferring consciousness, digitizing your soul, and whether that's really the same as living forever, or just another form of death. And here's something else. Underneath all the mayhem and gangsters, Chappie is basically a tragic hero. He didn't ask to be born into this violent world. He just wanted to survive and protect the people he loves. In a way, it's almost Shakespearean, but, with more explosions. And speaking of explosions, those action scenes absolutely slap. Blomkamp knows how to direct chaos. The gunfights, explosions, and mech battles all have this brutal, weighty feel to them that makes every shot count. It's not mindless action. It's messy and visceral, just like the story itself. But there's one scene in particular, a scene that completely reframes how you see this movie, and trust me, it's coming up next. Okay, let's talk about the scene that flips this movie on its head. It happens near the end. Chappie, after everything he's been through, is dealing with the death of someone he loves. I'm talking about the moment Yolandi dies. And listen, up until that point, Chappie is still kind of this naive, confused character. He's trying to understand morality, loyalty, what it means to be good. But when she dies, when she's ripped away from him, something breaks. That scene isn't just sad. It's disturbing in a way that most sci-fi movies don't even attempt, because Chappie doesn't grieve like we do. He twitches. He repeats her name. He spirals. It's the robotic equivalent of a panic attack, and it hits hard. And what makes it worse is that we, the audience, understand what's happening before Chappie does. We see Yolandi's body. We see Ninja's reaction. But Chappie, he's in denial. And then suddenly, he's not. It's raw. It's glitchy. It feels like watching a child realize what death actually is for the first time. That innocence we've been laughing at the whole movie, gone, instantly. And then he makes a decision. He's going to fight death. He's going to transfer her consciousness, not just to save himself, but to preserve the one person who showed him unconditional love. That's where the movie shifts. It stops being about a machine becoming sentient and starts being about something deeply human, fear of loss, and the desperate need to hold on. That's when Chappie stops being a prototype and starts being a person, a grieving, angry, determined person. You came for robots. But that's the moment this movie quietly becomes a tragedy. So here's the big question. Why did Chappie deserve better? Simple. Because it actually tried something different. It didn't play by the rules of traditional science fiction. It wasn't trying to be safe or marketable. It was raw, messy, emotional, and yeah, weird as hell. But that weirdness, that was intentional. Chappie isn't trying to be perfect. It's trying to be human. And the irony is, the one character people laughed at, the robot with the baby voice, ends up being more emotionally layered than half the human characters in other sci-fi movies. He's not just a machine, he's a mirror. Everything we see in Chappie, the fear, the confusion, the loyalty, the loss, that's all us. That's what made it powerful. But most people weren't ready for that. They saw the gangsters and the odd tone and bailed before the film had a chance to say what it was really about. And that's why Chappie deserves another look. Because under all the noise and neon and bullets, it's actually a movie about being alive, being loved, and being lost. Sometimes the messiest movies are the ones that hit the hardest, but only if you're willing to sit with the chaos. So, yeah, maybe Chappie wasn't what people expected, but that doesn't mean it was bad. It was bold, it was weird, it had heart. And in a world full of copy-paste blockbusters, that actually matters. If you've never seen it, or if you wrote it off years ago, give it another shot. Watch it with fresh eyes. You might be surprised by how much it sticks with you. And hey, if you've made it this far, chances are you're into this kind of deep dive stuff. So hit that like button, subscribe for more pop culture breakdowns, and drop a comment. Did Chappie deserve better? Or is it still just too weird to love?